Like the 2Rock plugin, we have the same sort of interface. So we have an input area with a gate, and then the output area here, along with the signal chain in the middle, with the really handy input processing and output processing. So we have an input level, which we can change. Again, we've got 3 decimal points, and by holding control, we can really get very precise values if we want. We have a gate, we have a transpose feature, which can go all the way down to minus an octave or plus an octave. We'll get that right, which I can turn on and off in here. We've got a tuner. We can click here for loading different presets. We have our sync or tap tempo area here, which is useful for the delay. We have our oversampling part where we can go up to 8 times oversampling. Our output along with an output limiter, and then our main signal chain area. So what I find incredibly useful is the input processing and output processing area. So as an example, in the input processing, we can add a compressor for cleans, for example. This is a clean preset, but we also have an equalizer. So for example, on the heavier stuff, which I'll show later, we can add a high pass to cut off some of those lows that can get kind of boomy and muddy, especially when doing high gain tones on low tuned instruments such as this one. And the same processing is also available on the output. So we have a compressor there if we want, the high pass, low pass, and also these 4 bands of equalization that we can use to further tweak to our liking. Add to that a variety of effects, and one which you don't see very often is a ring modulator. We have an overdrive, we have a chorus, all these are in front of the amp, but we can move these around if we want, very easily by just dragging and dropping. And then we also have a reverb with 3 modes, so room, hall, and shimmer, and a delay with 4 delay modes, analog, digital, lo-fi, reverse. And on the amp itself, we have 3 modes. So we have a clean mode, a rhythm mode, and then finally a lead mode, which is here. Now, one thing I didn't mention just yet is just how comprehensive the cab section is. So just like in Two-Rock, there's so many options within the cab section to get a whole variety of tones. So as an example here, we have two cabinets that we can choose from. So a vintage 30 speaker or a greenback speaker, and then a whole host of different microphones that we can use and place where we want. And we have all these extra controls that we have here at our disposal. Like with the Two-Rock plugin, I do find this quite overwhelming as I'm not versed well enough in mic and speaker placement. But if you do want to use your own IRs, you can disable the cab block by right-clicking on it, and then you can load your own IRs with an other IR loader. Now, what I really like about the plugin is that we have a lot of flexibility with regards to our signal chain, and it's also very complete. By that I mean, in the input processing, we can already set, say, a high pass or a low pass for a guitar to clean up the guitar going into the amp. So for this guitar, for example, I find the pickups a bit muddy, especially for the really low notes. So having this option there really cleans it up. We have a compressor as well so that we can add that for our cleaner tones, and that's what you hear on some of those presets. And then on the output processing, we can do the same thing. So we can add a high pass and a low pass to further sculpt the tone, and also add in some extra control if we find there's certain parts of the EQ that are not to our liking. Add to that the different effects, which I think sound really good in combination with this amp and the sorts of tones that you might be after. And you've got a pretty good sort of all-in-one for those sorts of tones. Now, something I didn't like quite so much is just this, to be honest. It's the readability of the amp knobs on the actual amp face itself. It would have been great to have a better readability here. You can put your mouse over and you'll see the different values, which is great. But, you know, I squint at things to begin with, and that's why I'm wearing glasses using a computer. So one of these things would be nice to change. But if you've already set up a tone to your liking, this is not something that you'll perhaps tweak after that. So you don't need a crazy low-tuned guitar, a 7-string, 8-string, or 9-string to get the most out of this plugin. I think there's some really good core tones in here for a whole host of applications, and that's down to basically the effects on offer. Admittedly, maybe there's some other effects that you would like to use, but that's where you can further add them to the actual plugin itself, around the plugin. So if you want a tremolo or some other effects like that, you can add them there. Now, I didn't get into too many of the presets, but I really liked some of the ones I tried from Mike Stringer. So the dotted ambience there, or infinite reverse, and long verb, for example, for more ambient stuff. And then the chunk was particularly nice as well. So what did you think of the plugin and the various tones? I'd be really curious to hear your feedback in the comments below. And if you like this kind of content, please drop a like and subscribe, as it really helps me out. I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.